Last night, SNL 50. Did it live up to the hype? Joining us tonight here on the show is NPR's television critic and author as well, Eric Deggans, who joins us over the phone here on the program. Eric, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I'm a little tired. I stayed up late watching this thing, which was 3.5 hours. So forgive me if I'm a little slow on the uptake.
It's all good, man. No, one could understand being a little lethargic after all of that. It was a beast last night, especially once we got to Weekend Update and it was only 90 minutes in. And they're like,
I
wow,
know.
even they made a joke about, wow, we're only halfway through this thing at this point in time.
Exactly. I mean, the regular show is only about an hour and a half, so they presented a show that was more than twice the length that they normally have for programs. So it went on.
Overall, did you give it a passing grade?
Yeah, I give it a passing grade. I mean, uh, SNL these days is kind of uneven. I think they've kind of been stuck, to use a sports term, they've been in kind of a rebuilding year for I think the last couple of years. And, they have a few stalwarts like Bowen Yang and Keenan Thompson who are stars and can make anything funny no matter what. But I think much of the cast has kind of struggled to make an impact, and they've struggled to sort of figure out what their voice is in today's times. And so you had a 50th anniversary celebration that kind of relied a lot on sketches from about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. The Ferrell years, the Tina Fey years, the Kristen Wiig years. A lot of references to stuff that came from those times, and not as much to stuff from the very beginning of the show, and not and hardly anything. Like one sketch I think that kind of referenced the last couple of years.
I know that you had thought Eddie Murphy shined last night, as did I. You made him your MVP in your piece for NPR today. What made Eddie your MVP last night?
Well, he's one of those cats where you can kind of put him in a sketch that might be okay, and he'll elevate it. So you could tell he was ad libbing. The very first sketch he was in was a Black Jeopardy redo. Where he was playing Tracy Morgan, and Tracy Morgan was standing next to him playing a different character, and and he was ad libbing so much that he threw off Leslie Jones, who started laughing and missing her cues while they were doing the bit. And I also think he was so funny that it almost kind of stepped on Tom Hanks when he showed up, and he was sort of supposed to be the closing punchline. But Eddie had already kind of stolen the whole skit.
I mean, Eddie doing Tracy Morgan really was probably the highlight of the night. He's so explosive still. When he hosted SNL a couple of years ago, I thought it was a wonderful episode. But he really comes alive when he's on stage in that improv or that sketch type thing. And when he's doing Tracy next to Tracy, I thought, boy, this is pretty brilliant.
Exactly. It was also like a perfect use of him, and I don't know how that happened, if it was his call or if it was Lorne Michaels' call or someone else at Saturday Night Live. But they used him really well, and then they also used him in a Scared Straight skit towards the end of the night, where it was him and Keenan Thompson and Will Ferrell. And those are the three guys. They are like the goats of Saturday Night Live. Like, you can put them in any sketch and you can give them, any kind of tired character, and they will make it funny. Now, that sketch was okay, but having Will Ferrell and Eddie together, it just added to the enjoyment for anybody who's a fan of the show, and it probably made the sketch a little more entertaining than it actually was.
I, by and large, liked it last night. I know it's kind of an unwieldy type of idea. It's like you're trying to bring together 50 years of comedy, bring back some familiar faces, sketches. You're forcing a lot of stuff in there from a lot of generations. But Will Ferrell is one of those goats, as you said. And to use him as Robert Goulet off the top, I said, is this the best use of all of Will Ferrell's characters? I don't know. I was like, kind of a wasted opportunity, I thought, with Will Ferrell off the top.
Yeah. Well, I think what they were trying to do was give a sketch where they could have several ex-cast members kind of appear. So that sketch wasn't just a showcase for his Robert Goulet, but it was a showcase for Kristen Wiig's character, where she plays this sort of, kind of maladjusted sister amongst quadruplet of of sisters performing on the Lawrence Welk show, and it also gave Fred Armisen a chance to do his Lawrence Welk, and they had Anna Gasteyer and Scarlett Johansson and Sabrina Carpenter. So that is the sketch where you can have 5 or 6 celebrities, kind of come in and do all these cameos, and I think that's part of it too. They didn't have a lot of sketches where there would be that many parts for all the people who were there. So part of the reason why they probably chose it was because, there were a lot of showcase moments there. Kristen Wiig, a lot of people loved what she did when they originally did that sketch on the show, in addition to Farrell's Bob Goulet.
What are some of the things you didn't think worked last night that maybe they tried and you said, that fell flat?
Well, I thought a lot of the sketches were just too long. Perhaps they were intimidated by the fact that they had so much time to fill. But I felt like there were a lot of sketches where the point of the sketch was you start it to remind people of the old sketch, and then you bring in the cameo performances so people go, "Oh, that's Miles Teller," or "Oh, that's Mike Myers playing Linda Richmond," and then you get out. Why do we need to spend 3 or 4 minutes watching these people toss around jokes that don't quite work? I think some of the sketches were just kind of overlong. There was a sketch in the middle where they just kept introducing celebrities and having them ask questions of Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, and it was fun when it started, and then after a while you're just sort of like, why is this going on for so long? And another thing that surprised me is that they didn't have any real political impressions or political sketches. They had Kate McKinnon doing her impersonation of Rudolph Giuliani, but that was embedded inside this whole sort of twisted musical parody that wasn't really very political. And Steve Martin told a couple of political jokes at the beginning of the night, but we didn't really see them showcase, James Austin Johnson's Trump. We didn't really see Dana Carvey, as near as I could tell, wasn't there at all, and he's been playing Biden for the at the during the fall, up to the election and after. So it was kind of odd that they didn't bother to do any political sketches when they've been doing political sketches through the election, and we're in the middle of this crazy crisis now. And finally, I thought they underutilized the original cast members. The only two original cast members from the very first season of the show have died, John Belushi and Gilda Radner. So that left, like 5 other people that they could have used. And Lorraine Newman was in a pre-tape sketch, and Garrett Morris introduced a replay of a venerated old short starring John Belushi. But other than that, Chevy Chase was there, Jane Curtin was there. They never really appeared in a sketch. Dan Aykroyd, I don't think attended. And again, there's no sense about why he didn't attend. And like I said, Dana Carvey wasn't there, and also Bill Hader didn't attend. And he's another guy who has a ton of impressions that he does. Was somebody who was considered kind of an ace player on the show, but he's also been very open about how much anxiety it produced for him to appear on the show, how he struggled with anxiety the whole time he was on it. And so maybe that's one reason why he decided not to participate in the 50th.
Yeah, his absence was certainly glaring because he's such a massive character, especially from the years that you're talking about that they highlighted quite a bit of last night on SNL 50. I highly suggest you check out Eric Deggans' write-up from last night, the SNL 50th anniversary special, What Worked and What Didn't. That's at npr.org right now. Eric, I know you had a late night last night. Great work on writing up. I thought a lot of the same things I was thinking as well with what worked and what didn't for NPR. And I appreciate the time tonight here on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Our pleasure. Eric Deggans, NPR television critic and media analyst, joining us here on the show. Good stuff from him along the lines today.